Today's lesson is called Sports to Break New Ground at Paris 2024 Olympics. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff.
My name is Roger, and today we're going to be talking about sports. And, of course, this summer, we're anticipating the upcoming Olympics that are supposed to take in Japan. Remember, they were postponed last year to this year. But at the time of our recording of this essay, that's still kind of up in the air as well. They're not really sure those are going to go through because coronavirus is still around.
In 2024, something special is going to happen. Something radically new maybe just might happen there for the Olympics in Paris. How interesting. It says here that sports are going to break new ground to do something new. So, are they going to break with tradition? Well, there's only one way to find out. Well, let's go ahead and start reading and find out for ourselves. We'll go ahead and take a short break, and then we'll come back and start reading from our article.
Sports to break new ground at Paris 2024 Olympics. Breakdancing, surfing, skateboarding, and sport climbing will be featured at the 2024 Summer Olympics held in Paris. The International Olympic Committee, IOC, confirmed in December 2020. Paris organizers and the IOC hope the events will attract a younger audience. Surfing, skateboarding, and sport climbing were set to debut for the same reason at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, which was postponed because of the coronavirus pandemic. France is the first country to approve an Olympic breakdancing competition. This competition will be called breaking, the preferred term of those who pioneered the style of dance in the 1970s.
大家好，标题中我们看到片语 break new ground 表示开先例，做出创举，有突破性的发展。例如 The band broke new ground in the realm of pop music 那支乐团在流行乐领域中开创新局。或是 The drug company hopes to break new ground and find a cure for the terrible disease 这家制药公司希望有所突破，可以找到方法治疗这可怕的疾病。再来我们看到动词 debut 指首次亮相，首次登台。举例来说 The movie debuted with record-breaking ticket sales 那部电影的首映票房销售量创纪录。或是 Selena became excited as she was set to debut on Broadway next week Selena 因为预计下周要在百老汇初登台而兴奋不已。另外这个字也可以当名词，像是 make one's debut 就表示初次登场，出道，处女秀。例如Barbara made her debut on the stage at our town's yearly talent show. Barbara 在我们镇上的年度才艺表演秀中献出她的处女秀。再来，我们看到名词 coronavirus 指冠状病毒，像是 coronavirus pandemic 就表示新型冠状病毒大流行。例如 Due to the coronavirus pandemic, Simon decided to postpone his trip to Europe. 由于新型冠状病毒大流行Simon 决定延期他的欧洲之旅。
Okay, so we're talking about the Olympics that will be coming up in 2024, and they're supposed to take place in Paris. But we've got some new sports that we'll be able to see at the Paris 2024 Olympics, so we're all looking forward to that. Again, these sports are going to break new ground. That's what happens, of course, when you're going to start construction on a new building. They will break ground or break new ground. They'll usually have some kind of ceremony, and the owner of the construction company or whatever will come, and they'll wear nice clothes and stuff like that, and people will give speeches and stuff like that. So these sports are going to just be new at the Olympics in 2024.
Exactly. They're going to introduce something new, okay? Some of the sports that they're adding to the Summer Olympics here are sports that I'm sure the ancient Greeks would not have been able to dream of. It says here, breakdancing, surfing, skateboarding, and sport climbing will be featured at the 2024 Summer Olympics held in Paris, the International Olympic Committee, or the IOC, confirmed in December 2020. So there you have it. How about that? By the way, this is kind of funny. You break new ground. That's a phrase found in our title. And the first of these new activities, it's break dancing. So you break new ground by adding break dancing to the Olympics.
Pretty cool.
Oh, that's pretty clever. Anyways, yes, I think we all know what the Olympics or the Olympic Games are. When we're talking about the Summer Games, we're talking about a set of traditional games that we inherited from the ancient Greeks, although we didn't really inherit it completely. Okay, we didn't have the Olympics for thousands of years, but we kind of revived the Olympic Games 100 years ago or so, and we started doing them again. Athletes from all over the world, they come to a certain city, a certain place, and they represent their countries, and they compete to see who's best. If you're really good at doing something, you get a gold medal. If you're kind of good, you get a silver medal. And if you're okay, you get a bronze medal. These games are held every 4 years.
They are indeed. And of course, the Winter Olympics are held every 4 years, but 2 years apart from the Summer Games. So yes, we've got these new sports that we will be enjoying there. Breakdancing, surfing, skateboarding, and sport climbing. Breakdancing, of course, is dancing when you actually get down on the ground and spin around and do all sorts of different moves. I believe that came from the Bronx, New York in the late 70s. And people all over the world are doing it. So it's going to be an Olympic sport, along with surfing, riding a surfboard on a wave, skateboarding, and a skateboard park and stuff like that. These are all new and exciting sports, and the Olympics are going to be held in Paris. I did want to say that we refer to these games as the Olympics, okay? Don't just say Olympics by itself. You'll have to have the definite article there, the Olympics. The Olympics are taking place in Paris in 2024.
There you go. Now, it says Paris organizers and the IOC hope the events will attract a younger audience. Surfing, skateboarding, and sport climbing were set to debut for the same reason at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, which was postponed because of the coronavirus pandemic. By the way, the word is debut. Be careful of the pronunciation here. Debut, it is a French word. If you debut, you do something in public, usually for the first time, okay? Let's say you are a Taiwanese baseball player. Let's say you're a pitcher like Wang Jianming. You hit the big times and you go and you pitch in the United States in the MLB. The first time that you pitch, that'll be your MLB debut, or you'll be debuting in the big leagues. Anyways, why are they doing this? The Summer Games, they were already set. You had track and field events, swimming, diving, all sorts of good things, all sorts of fun stuff. Well, apparently not enough young people were tuning in. So Paris organizers and the IOC as well, they think that these new sports will attract a younger audience. By the way, we also have this word organizer to talk about here. When you talk about an organizer of an event, you're talking about a person or a group of people who put things together.
Now, France is the first country to approve an Olympic breakdancing competition. A competition, of course, is when people get together to compete. They have a contest, and they want to see who can win. In school, you may have been involved in a speech competition where you had to give a speech in front of a bunch of people. So, yes, this is a breakdancing competition, and this competition will be called breaking. And that is the preferred term of those who pioneered the style of dance in the 1970s in the Bronx, I believe. So here we've got the word pioneer as a verb here. That means you make this thing for the first time. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson. Let's listen to the second part now.
New IOC rules allow host countries to propose games based on their popularity. Among the sports rejected by the committee were ocean rowing and parkour, the latter involving a combination of running, leaping, and climbing over obstacles. Baseball, softball, and karate were also among the sports whose campaigns for inclusion were unsuccessful.
第二部分我们看到单字 obstacle 这个字是名词，指障碍、妨碍。例如 There are many obstacles that you will have to get over when you are climbing the mountain. 当你爬这座山时，会有许多障碍是你必须克服的。或是 Dylan's strength has allowed him to deal with many of life's obstacles. Dylan 的勇气让他得以解决生活中的诸多困难。另外补充一个相关单字 barrier B-A-R-R-I-E-R barrier 指障碍、隔阂、栅栏，像是Not being able to speak Japanese was a barrier for Alice when she applied for the job. 不会说日语在 Alice 应征那份工作时是个障碍。或是 To feel at home in a foreign country, it's necessary to get over some cultural barriers. 要在一个陌生的国家感到自在，克服一些文化隔阂是必要的。再举一个例子 The barriers weren't strong enough to keep fans from climbing onto the stage. 这个栅栏不够稳固，无法阻挡粉丝爬上舞台。
All right, so we've got a wave of new sports hitting the Olympics. Why? Well, because new IOC rules allow host countries to propose games based on their popularity. Among the sports rejected by the committee were ocean rowing and parkour, the latter involving a combination of running, leaping, and climbing over obstacles. By the way, an obstacle, it's just something that gets in your way. That's all there is to it. Have you seen any of these YouTube videos on the internet there involving parkour, Roger? Have you seen this before? People, they run through cities and they don't stop. They run and jump over things. They jump over buildings. They fall down. They leap and jump over dumpsters and buildings. And oh my goodness, it's crazy stuff, this parkour stuff.
Yes, parkour has been around for about 20 years or so. I believe I found out about it through a documentary film called Jump London. It's probably online somewhere. But yeah, parkour was rejected by the IOC. I guess it's just not popular enough. And then we've got baseball, softball, and karate. They were also among the sports whose campaigns for inclusion were unsuccessful. Yeah, baseball is only played in a handful of countries. It's very popular here in Taiwan, but not so much in Europe, and they don't really play it in Russia. People in India, of course, don't play it. So yeah, baseball's out, softball is out. Karate, yeah, that's kind of a fringe sport. Karate is Kong Shou Dao, I believe. They were unsuccessful for inclusion.
All right, folks, with that, it's time for us to take a short break, but don't go away. We'll be right back after this.
In addition to breaking, the Paris 2024 Olympics will feature another important first. It will have the exact same number of female and male athletes competing. With these decisions, the IOC hopes to set a new standard for inclusive, gender-balanced, and youth-centered games.
最后第三部分我们看到形容词 inclusive 指有包容性的，可以包容各种人的。例如 Sally is working to make the all-female club more inclusive. Sally 正努力让这个全女性的俱乐部更具包容性。或是 The nightclub is more inclusive now that it has stopped being only for members. 那间夜店因不再仅限会员进入，现在更广纳人群了。另外补充这个字的名词 inclusion, I-N-C-L-U-S-I-O-N, inclusion 指包含、包容。我们可以说 One of the inclusions in the book was a poem that my friend had written. 这本书里包含我朋友写的诗。
Okay, so the Olympics, of course, are always famous for their firsts, the first time something happens. So in addition to breaking, the Paris 2024 Olympics will feature another important first. it will have the exact same number of female and male athletes competing. I would assume in the past there were more male athletes competing than female athletes, and now things are equal.
The exact same number. How about that for equality? Literal equality. With these decisions, the IOC hopes to set a new standard for inclusive, gender-balanced, and youth-centered games. There you go. And here we do have the word inclusive. Inclusive is the opposite of exclusive, whereas if you're excluding someone, you're not letting them in. If you're including them, you're letting them in. If you're welcoming people in, you're being inclusive. If you're excluding, you're saying you are not welcome.
There you have it. So it hopefully is representing everybody here. Hopefully the games will represent boys and girls and different races and everybody. And of course, they'd like to have these be youth-centered, which means something that young people can relate to. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分有一个句子写到 Surfing, skateboarding, and sport climbing were set to debut for the same reason at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. 冲浪、滑板和运动攀岩也基于相同理由，预定在2020年的东京奥运首次登场。好，句子里面用到 set，在这边是当形容词，用来表达安排好的、预定好的。我们可以用 be set to 再加原形动词来表达说预计或是准备在某个时间发生。举例来说 The parade is set to begin at 2 p.m. 那场游行预定要在下午2点开始。好，那顺便补充一下 set 当形容词的其他用法。第一个，我们可以用 set 来表达准备好的，那我们就可以用 be all set 来表达一切准备就绪，都准备好了。那后面也可以接 for 加名词，或是接不定词 to be。好，例如 We're all set to go， 就是说我们一切准备好可以出发咯。第二个用法是用 set 来表达下定决心的，那么 be set on 就是表达决心要怎么样怎么样，后面可以接名词或动名词。例如 He has been set on becoming an actor since he was a child. 他从小就下定决心要成为一名演员。好，那如果你是说 be set against 什么什么，则是表达反对什么、拒绝什么。这个 set 前面呢，还可以加上 dead 来表达坚决的反对，所以它的用法就是 be dead set against 再加名词或动名词。举例来说Everyone was dead set against the plan. 所有的人都坚决反对那项计划。好，那么同样在课文第一部分呢，有一个单字是 pioneer， 它当动词有这种开创、倡导的意思。那么当名词可以表达开拓者。我们来拆解它的字根和字尾。好，首先看到 pion 这个字根，它是来自 peon 有步兵的意思，那么字尾 eer 表示相关者。好，其实 pioneer 这个字的字源意思就是为军队来开路的步兵，那么后来引申用来指拓荒者或是先锋。同学们应该也有看过其他单字有这个 eer 的字尾，我们来顺便补充这个名词字尾 eer， 它就是用来表达生产制造或是控制处理某件事的人，或是可以用来表达跟前面所指的事有相关的人。好，那我们来看几个例子哦。像第一个engineer 这个字呢，它其中的 engine 是引擎，字尾 eer 表示控制者，那么合在一起 engineer 就是工程师咯。那在后面加上 ing 变成 engineering 就可以表达工程学、工程设计。好，第二个补充的是 mountaineer， mountain 是山，那后面加上字尾 eer 来表达从事跟山有关的活动的人，那么 mountaineer 就是登山者，那么 mountaineering 就是登山运动了。好，再来看 volunteer， 它的字根 VOLUNT 这部分有意志啊、自愿的意思。那么字尾 EER 表示相关者，所以合在一起 volunteer 就可以表达志愿者或是义工的意思。好，那么以上是今天重点整理，我们来回顾今天的单字吧。
Olympics. Warren competed for his country at the Olympics 2 years ago. Organizer. The organizers of the festival expect more people to buy tickets this year. Debut. The pop star debuted 5 years ago and has since become very popular. Competition. Brooke's mom encouraged her to enter the singing competition. Pioneer. Pablo Picasso pioneered a revolutionary style of art now known as Cubism. Obstacle. Sherry turned her car to avoid the obstacle in the middle of the road.
Discussion starter starts now.
All right, folks, now it's time for our discussion starter. Hey, Roger, what do you think of the IOC's decision to feature new sports at the Paris 2024 Olympics?
Well, you know, I'm kind of conservative. I would personally prefer to see more traditional sports featured at the Olympics because, after all, these games are very, very old. So they should go back to having some kind of competition like the standing broad jump. You just stand there and then you try to jump as far as you can. They got rid of that a long time ago, but I'd like to see that come back again. It would be truly exciting.
I think it's a good move because events like that don't sound exciting. In fact, I think events like parkour, even though it didn't make it, do sound more exciting, and younger audiences are going to tune in. They're going to want to see things like surfing and breakdancing and sport climbing. Well, everyone, today's article has come to an end, and I sure hope you guys enjoyed reading and learning along with us. I am Jeff.
I am Roger.
See you next time.